Thank you everyone for dropping by for a breakout discussion. I'm Manish. I'm head of product at Avo Automation. I'm also accompanied by my colleague Gururaj. He heads our AI division in Avo Automation, who is going to talk about some of the cool, exciting features that we are building in our roadmap as part of a later part of the presentation. So before deep diving into this topic of cloud ALM integrations with Avo and what is Avo and how are we actually helping SAP ecosystem and the organization and enterprises around it, couple of things which I feel before diving is that before any embarking of a journey on any business transformation, personally there are 3 or 4 pillars, right? One is how do you define your value, what is your strategy all about, and then how do you define the goals, underneath from top down or bottom up, and then you go about defining the KPIs around each processes, and how do you go about procuring right tool sets, because that also becomes a very important decision as part of streamlining when you think about scaling up. The other area which I feel is also quite important is your the value management piece, wherein large and large you see that how do you reduce your cost, how do you streamline your processes, how do you reduce your risk. Now the risk can be of multifaceted, which we'll talk about it, but since we come from the testing background, I'll talk more from a testing lens, that how it actually affects your overall business transformation journey. And lastly, of course, very important to define your value proposition, because with that is what you define your goals and objective, right? So coming at to the closer lens of how the SAP ecosystem is what is being seen through Avo, we particularly see, and the graphs that you're going to see, by the way, in the next couple of slides, have been all sort of gathered from the SAP community hub, learning hubs, and the other support forums. And if you see, there is a very close relationship between the type of enterprises that typically an enterprise or organization would fall, or their journey overall, or the stint with the technology marriage that they would have done. It could be a startup who's about to embark a journey, or it could be a large enterprise who would have been in the the transformation journey or adoption of the platform and technology through a couple of decades as well. Largely there are 3 areas, and I'm not going to talk about because we're all pretty much coming from the industry, so we all know about what Greenfield, Bluefields, and Brownfields are. But where I want to actually bring attention to you guys is around the overall 3 drivers for any business transformation that I feel is very important. Number 1 is, of course, your resource and budget allocations, which is what defines most of your operational areas. Second, of course, is your strategic goals that you define. But most importantly is your organization goals, which sort of somewhere lies between these 2. And why I say that is because that's how you derive what would be your overall risk appetite about your journey. Would you like to sort of go and leverage, let's say, most of your HANA features in the functionality with the latest upgrade? That means you are about to take a huge leap in the risk, and of course, with regards to the time that it would require to sort of adopt the platform. Few enterprises we have seen from our own experience that they sort of do a right balance of will go with the not all the feature set, but will take some of the good things from it and then sort of go with our timelines and deliverables that has been also sort of given as a boundary for your organization goals. And lastly, of course, we have seen many other enterprises as well who probably don't want to sort of adventure out on the latest features and functionality, and they're happy with what business processes they've been following and adapting. If there are any areas of any glitches or functionality limitations, they're pretty happy with that. So with that, what I wanted to bring with this slide is your important informed decisions about how you want to sort of go ahead with your overall transformation journey. And where it sort of brings out is a very key area about your overall journey. If you see that as along you sort of see your updates of the applications that keeps happening, let's say on a quarterly basis or half-yearly basis, the customer-driven deviations from what they wanted to sort of build as part of their business processes versus where they have arrived from day one, there's a little bit of difference and the deviation. Now, why is that? The reason is because whatever you get out of the box is not something that fits all, right? We've heard all one t-shirt size does not fit everybody. So it's the same case even in the business process adoption as well. whether you are a healthcare or into IT services or into automotive, we have found that, the way you leverage your platform is not how you take it as is. What we see is that you will do a lot of customization on top of it. You will have a lot of ancillary applications integrations on top of it. You will definitely have ALM and defect management integrations. So that all in all, when you talk about your own business processes, we see that your actual business flows started from one application or one tech stack and then sort of goes and traverses through multiple other platforms. And where it basically brings out is the importance of when all of these moving pieces is when integrated and you as an enterprise is about to go live, think about it, that how important it is from a testing lens, that if something is not working well, what it could lead to. And I'm not going to talk about the CrowdStrike last week incident that happened, which goes without saying that how much important is to do and stress on the quality before going live, right? So talking about that deviation is where exactly the maximum risk actually is what we have felt. While we help enterprises to go to market quite quickly from Avo lens, we have also seen that the majority of the stress have been given also, how do you test those integration points? Because there could be database involved in it, there could be APIs involved in it, there could be a different tech stack also handshaking with each other. And with that is where the major challenges lies with the tool providers like us, where we have to help and scale enterprises as an end-to-end player to sort of give them the quality assurance before they're going live, and it is glitch-free. So with that, where I feel is that, of course, I do acknowledge we come from an automation background, and we do know that testing is important. Not all can be automated absolutely. There are certain processes and there are certain pockets of your applications which will require manual testing. But large and large, if you see the overall need for the automation, we have sort of found out that there are 4 or 5, 6 driven factors around it. Couple of that is where I see is that it helps you in the test coverage. How do we do that? Guru is going to talk about some of our AI features on it. But unless you don't sort of test end-to-end an entire tech stack, I don't see that you are going to achieve the test coverage in the optimum level. And the reason why I'm saying it is optimum because, as the human behavior we have seen, it sort of gets very accustomed to certain practices and, typical processes in how you actually operate. So what I mean by this is that, for example, if you see a certain companies having a COE setup or a testing team doing regression, month on month or quarter by quarter, you will see eventually that there is a slight gap between where your product has reached and how updated your test cases are. Meaning, if imagine you have created your test cases on day 1 and then your product version is somewhere on, let's say, version 10 or 9, will those test cases still be relevant? Probably 60-70% yes, but probably 20-30% may not be the case. So when somebody is asking you the test coverage, is it really something helping you out with? Because again, the nature of the complex landscape of the application that you're dwelling with. So with that, what it means is that you definitely require a tool or a platform that sort of becomes a heterogeneous in nature because you are testing end-to-end and you are testing in silos, right? Second, I'm sure with automation, you definitely know that speed and accuracy is something very important. But what it also brings out is that a lot of redundant work is being done. There are things which is manually that can be easily replaced by automation. We also feel that with that, reliability and other stability factors are also involved in it. But I really want to come to a point where automation is not just about getting things faster done or getting things quicker to the market or cutting down your release cycles. What I really want to also talk about is that the productivity of it. And when I say that, this is where we infuse our AI technologies into our platform to see how can you actually maximize the ROI and the TCOs, right? So with that, what I want to also talk about is that whenever you are actually doing a tool shopping or you are looking out for some vendors, most of our customers who have come from different platforms, I have seen that onboarding has been one of the biggest challenges that they've had. Learning curve has been quite steep. With that, of course, means that you are shelling cost and money on training your resources and employees. And what I also see is that the overall hand-holding required for any enterprises to go up and running on their own is a larger window. With that, what I mean is that you definitely look out for a tool that could be self-served with regards to how you actually operate in it. The usability of that has to be top-notch, and of course, the intuitiveness of the UI that comes with the product has to be quite, user-friendly. So we have all of that. You will see certain things. Please drop by to our booth to see our product. And what I also wanted to bring in a very, very important, we are in a world of agile and scale agile product development, and most of the engineering work these days have been done along with the CI/CD. But where we actually see is that we don't talk much is the CT part. So I've never heard, honestly, somebody talking about CI, CD, and CT together. They all talk about integration and deployment, but how do you actually enable your tool also for continuous testing is another area, because what we feel is that unless the feedbacks are not given at a very early stage of the product development, I don't think you are getting the right signals how your product is actually progressing release by release. So with that, what I mean is, of course, your tool has to be quite flexible to be integrated with the DevOps. And end of the day, any company, any enterprise looks for higher ROI and lower TCO. What we mean is that how do you actually maximize the reusability aspect of your test cases and test artifacts, how it can be actually shared across different teams and different projects, because there could be a lot of redundant work not within your team but also across the organization. And how does any tool can give you that transparency in terms of sharing those artifacts, and so that the other team can speed up to increase their efficiency and productivity. And lastly, a view which is generally I have seen is missing in the ecosystem that we generally develop our products, that you don't get a comprehensive view of reports in terms of what is actually being a problematic statement. What I mean with that is that, of course, a lot of out-of-the-box test reports have been given by many competitors of ours, and we have seen it. Your test cases have passed, failed, which cycle has got maximum bugs, etc. But we are doing something very interesting, which is about getting a lot of data feedback onto our data lake, which will talk about for an enterprise level, and let's say somebody at CIO level or CXO level, they should be able to get some insight in terms of where the defect leakages are happening maximum, where exactly from last quarter, which side of your application has actually sort of broken down. Not just the test case pass fail, binary numbers, but say suppose you've got middleware, front end, database, API layers, all of that. And as let's say a COE head or a QA director, if I really want to know, should I invest in my API layer more because I see a lot of bug leakages happen in that aspect, or has it happened on my front end? It gives me some informed decision about how do I allocate my budgets, and also how do I move my resources within the team, right? So having said that, last bit which I feel is also very important when you look out for any tool is how complementary it is to the test data. Now, it's a separate topic, of course, but it is very important topic. A lot of our customers who have come to us and talked about, we have done this enough, we've got production synthetic copy of the data, subsetted it, masked it, and then used it. It never served the purpose. The reason why it never served the purpose is because you never tested it at scale. And when I mean with that is that, for example, if you're a credit card company and you are selling about, let's say, million, numbers of your credit cards into different markets, how do you test that reality into a mimicking, a ecosystem, and still knowing that your product is not going to fail? So, so test data is something which is very, very important. Our platform sort of supports both synthetic as well as production data, whichever compliances you sort of fall under. We sort of offer both the types of test data management solution. Very quickly onto the platform overview. Vidur alluded in the keynote, but I'll just give you a quick snapshot again. We support more than 200 plus technologies. A lot of that is also covering your enterprise packaged application space, right from SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, Salesforce, and likes of similar platform. We have definitely made our platform in such a way that the designing and the execution and maintenance are all quite flexible. Meaning, for example, if you want your product managers and business analysts to contribute to your testing, they can come to test design section of our product. They can do a sketching of the entire portfolio, what they would like to, and then an automation testers can come and start automating it. Similarly, if you wish to put your manual testers, for example, onto your execution side of the thing so that they start getting learn and sort of get their journey embarked on the automation side, they can do that because we give you that flexibility that the users will directly come to the execution side of the profile and then execute it and start getting a little bit, abrushed with the technology and the platform. It goes without saying that reusability, CI/CD, self-healing of the test cases, integration with many defect management and ALM integration, testing at scale. When you talk about, we have parallel execution. We do have integrations with a lot of our partners like Lambda, Browser Stack, Sauce Labs as well, in case you already hold relationship with that. So you can execute on those platforms as well. You can run on headless, headed mode. You can schedule it. For example, if you want to run some thousands of test cases over weekend and you want to see reports on Monday morning, you can do that via Avo. And very importantly, what we also have something called as pre-built accelerator kits for all these enterprise applications, which is nothing but it gives you some headway, where 50 or 60% of your test cases are already pre-built and sort of already captured. So with that, of course, we have a lot to offer in the SAP landscape, but few highlights I would like to talk about. We have a very unique feature, of course, it's a recorder, but it is recorder for SAP GUI, which means that any business function or consultant users can also come to our platform and start talking about and start doing the productive work out of it. So that's one. Pre-built accelerator kits, I already said, it covers most of your major modules and very key critical business functionalities. And very importantly, like I said, we being a heterogeneous platform, we sort of support your all end-to-end business processes needs. That's there. Meaning, if you have, let's say, a lead coming from Salesforce and then the data getting seated into, let's say, some databases, from that you make an API call and you want to pull that data back onto the front end, which could be a web, applications, you can do that all because it's all heterogeneous in nature. Again, it goes without saying that most of our enterprises, at least the SAP customers, are also using a cloud ALM, which is already integrated with our platform. I'm not gonna definitely talk a lot on the benefits of it because most of us know, but a quick highlights, it definitely gives you instant feedback back to your pipelines and your ALM tools. That is also possible, where you see if something has broken down or failed, you get the instant execution details and reports. You also get the data around from the reporting section where what has actually gone wrong. Was it something, a technical glitch? Was it a 404 error? Whatever happened on your platform, is what you get to do. And you get to see a lot of metadata around the reports as well. And gives you a very clear traceability, of course, right from requirement to your text cases, where things have actually gone down or how overall your value stream mapping is looking like, right? Quickly and lastly, I think I would definitely want to talk about, what we have felt and with whatever experience that we've had in the market is that, there is definitely, while you migrate your ECC to HANA journey, a data validation becomes a very key component of it. We do have that data validator into our platform where you can actually parallelly start testing it as the migration goes down, and we have seen tremendous benefits in terms of the reduction of the time, because a lot of this parallel thread sort of takes overhead onto your overall go-to-market timelines. That's one. We've also seen how do you actually get and kickstart and jumpstart your test automation using a pre-built or even as Genius. We have seen 4x rapid test automation growth and how they have actually started embarking their journey into the test automation world, especially in the SAP landscape. And lastly, with the tight-knit integrations with the ALM and the defect management, we have felt and we have seen results in the reports where, they have reduced, defect leakage in the production. One of our largest, insurance customer, they started our journey with, 4 years ago, and their production rate, defect leakage, if I'm not wrong, was around 12%. Today, using Avo, they are somewhere around 1 to 2%, which is the standard market, defect rate ratio. And of course, it sort of also helps you in the coverage part of it, which is where Guru is going to talk about how do we actually are infusing AI in overall roadmap to see some of the cool, exciting stuff. So I'd like to call upon Guru now for talking about some of our upcoming AI and the cool stuff from the roadmap perspective. Go ahead, Guru.
Cool. Thanks, Manish. Thanks, Manish. Yeah. Thanks for the insight about our Avo platform. So my name Gururaj, working as a senior product architect for Avo Automation. Okay. AI Gen AI is really interesting topic, right? How many of you don't know Gen AI? Wrong question. Okay. Anyway, jokes apart. So In next 15 minutes, I'm going to talk about how we leverage AI or ML, or you call it as Gen AI, to our Avo platform. So that'll be very interesting on the next slide. So I'll talk about the solutioning part, the roadmap, that how we are visualizing, and the bit benefits, and a couple of demos lined up from our booth as well, right? Probably I'll just cover it in next 15-10 minutes. This is a deep dive session, by the way, but yeah, I might try my level best to complete. Okay, so if you just look at the typical software development, right? It's pretty notable, right? Right from requirements to maintenance. On each phase, there are a lot of challenges we have, right? So we know the common challenges. Hey, my requirements are not clear, my specification is not good, there's a miscommunication, or my requirements keep on changing, right? So the impact is like developer doesn't know, or I mean, QA doesn't know what exactly to draw the insight out of it, right? He just hangs there. And then due to that, I mean, most of the critical functionalities of a product might miss out, and then there'll be a huge coverage gap, right? So if we move on to the next phase, where coding and implementation, of course, developer would come in and then start, typically working on the product, the software development, whatever. So maintaining code is really important. So while doing so, they might introduce a lot of bugs as well. How do you want to tackle them? That is one of the challenge. And then there are a lot of manual efforts. I think if you use any low-code, no-code platforms, probably if you're in an in-sprint model, you can still continue with your test automation as well, right? But if you go to the testing and execution phase, this is very key, where Manish was talking more about on the automation landscape, what and all we have today. But the main thing is the coverage. So if I ask what is your test coverage, probably you might say 30, 40, or 80, I don't know, right? So that is the coverage is the main challenge that is missing. And then also due to this, you might get into a lot of bugs into the production as well. So once it move on to the release and a maintenance mode, there are two things would happen actually. One, in a given sprint, or in a given release, I'm getting a lot of user stories and BRDs or whatever, right? And how do you maintain, how do you update your test case? That is a pretty challenge today, right? I need to go back to our downstream regression test suites, and someone has to manually update, hey, this test case is completely dead, it is churned out, and I need to update them, right? So how do you visualize now within our Avo platform? How do you fit in your AI journey to this, right? This is very interesting. There are a lot of features coming in. I'll just take 8 minutes probably to now explain this as well. So what we are trying is, our goal is to get in the Gen AI capability at each and every phase. Why not? If I get a requirement, can I generate a test case out of it? Yes, this is pretty straightforward today. I can get a BRD, FRDs, no matter what, though it has image, tables, links, whatever it may be, still that is achievable with LLM models. LLM models pretty well known, right? And then it is not only just generating a test case. Manish was talking more about on the coverage. So again, there are two things, there are two categories for this. One, I can map to a requirement and then build a model in such a way that I can build a coverage there. The second very important thing is, why not I can get into the code, right, the real code, what developer has written, and I should be able to generate test case as well. Why not, right? So just after generating a test case is not enough. Again, it has to be automated. End of the day, if you are working in an sprint model, how quick you are able to automate them. So we have within Avo platform, you have trained a model in such a way that it's going to convert your manual test cases to automated scripts without writing a single line of code. Though it is low code, no code, but our success rate is close to 60%, because 100% really is not possible. Let's say someone was asking even yesterday as well, if I give the manual test case, forget about Gen AI LLM. I have around 1,000 test cases, right, sitting in my one of the test management tool. Can we convert that to Avo platform? Yes, it's possible today, right? They are at a very early stage, by the way, but we are experimenting it. But that is a key takeaway is generating test case is not enough, but main important thing is how do you automate so quickly to them. And the next, if you see the smart regression, I know most of people run like thousands of test cases when the build is being deployed, right? Hey, I need 10 days to do it, no matter what. I run on a lot of parallel test suites. Then how do you manage to run? what I mean by this smart regression is we want to reduce your test cycle, but how do you get, how it is smart enough to identify, hey, these are the test case are a part of my release I'm supposed to run. So we have a model, we integrate with a lot of other enterprise LLM models as well. We have a framework that is in build, automatically understand the entire landscape, and then it will predict, hey, these are the test cases that are part of your current release, and that should be your release candidate. That's smart enough to identify that. And next, if you see, with this, there are two things that are attached. One, the self-healing. I think Manish was talking about the self-healing as well, and also the impact analysis. So while running a script, most of the time we see the two issues. One, it failed because of my elements or components are totally misbehaving, or it could be a bug as well. But what I'm trying to focus is, when you run at a runtime itself, it will automatically heal the components, and then it will without even pausing them, it will just run through. Of course, it saves a lot of time as well, right? And if you see the other way around on the impact analysis, right? So imagine that a major upgrade is happening, right? And then a lot of automation test suites already been written. So we have already trained a model in such a way that it will understand the entire system or test suites, and it will identify, hey, these are the components that have been changed, and the downstream test scripts should be updated, right? It will just recommend. It's basically a recommendation engine that will recommend you, hey, these are the things that has to be changed as well. So, but the journey, if you see, right? So one key thing is missing. I think Manish was talking about the visibility in the reports as well. If I ask, like, most of the reports today are pretty static in nature, right? It don't give much insights for me, right? So we have a prompt-based analysis. We have a quick demo as well in our booth, so you can just get in there. So what exactly it does is, hey, I want to know the current execution of my test suites, for this release. Or probably I would say, hey, plot me a distributed, a trend analysis for the current release. Just ask a question, right? It just automatically is going to plot a graph for you. You don't need to really, always rely on the static reports, right? So that's about the prompt analysis. And next, if you see, the last note is more on the app quality prediction. We call it as observability. Most of you guys know what is observability, right? We get a lot of data from the production, and we're going to observe them. So typically, if you see the journey, it's a more of a business-driven cases, right? But what we are, Avo as a platform, we're focusing more on the user-centric. I want to know actually what exactly user is doing in a production. I want to know his the way he's using the product, right? So you're going to analyze those kind of logs and get into our data lakes, and then from there you should be able to generate the automation or even the generated test case as well. The whole journey, if you see, right, we are trying to improve the efficiency. Of course, your go-to-market should be pretty quick enough, and it should be smart enough. It's not always, I have 5,000, let me run, and then just give the result, right? It's not like that. So next, it is pretty on the blueprint level. Some of might be repeated, but I just want to give a very high level to just compile this. If you take an agile world, shift left and shift right, everyone knows that. But there's a lot of data is already sitting in a, some form actually. So A was a platform. We want to create a knowledge AI-powered data lake. So what I mean by this, it understands the entire ecosystem. It connects to your requirements, code changes, developer commits, developer comments, static analysis, no matter what, dynamic analysis. Is going to get all the data and then feeds it to our data lake. And the second is on the shift right, where a lot of logs are already being collected from the production. So like, for example, user persona or production defects, whatever, and then that's going to dump to our data lake. So why I should do this, right? Of course, with our GenAI model, should be able to identify which test to run is in my test priority, right? Or I would say the coverage I can improve. There are a lot of, again, the same benefits now we get. So today we have a quick, I'll go through this Avo GenAI features what we have. We support these kind of integrations today, GPT-3, GPT-4, you might have heard about it, GPT-4o, and recently they released mini model. There is Gemini Pro, there is Cohere, there's Anthropic. So a couple of models already we support. We can just upload the document. We're going to create a customized templates based on your needs. The prompt engineering happens behind the scene, and then after that, it's going to automate, or it's going to generate a test case in detail about the module, a user story level. The user story could be in Jira, ADO, wherever. You can upload a doc and ask a question, it will generate the, automated scripts as well. So the automated scripts, of course, is going to convert. I already said we have a ML model that's going to convert that to a manual test case in automation, test case as well. So of course the benefit is pretty straightforward. The cost saving, bring a lot of efficiency, better coverage, and then a faster time to the market. And the last, what we are now working on the next couple of quarters, focusing more on the how do you improve your coverage. Just want to speak about requirements and code, get into the details, build a data lake, and then start working on it. And then how do you optimize test execution by implementing a smart regression. And the last, how do you enhance your test coverage by looking at the production logs that's typically user-centric, driven. So I think, yeah, that's pretty much in. With that, I end this session. I hope you got a gist, but I'm happy. We invite you to our booth actually. So there are a couple of demos lined up. Some are in the very development stage. Don't expect too much because a lot of so things are still under development stage happening. Yeah. Thank you for your time. Thank you.